Imani Tech upgradability is the quickest growing branch of vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online. Just in the latest update of the game, 4 new Imani Tech style vehicles have been added into the game, reaching a grand total of 18 vehicles that now have Imani Tech capabilities. In today's video, I'll be showcasing each and every Imani Tech vehicle, and I'll be showcasing the 3 different styles of Imani Tech vehicles. We're going to start off with the most basic style of Imani Tech cars, and that is the ones that feature not only armor upgrades, but also bulletproof glass. For example, we can see if I pull out a rifle and shoot at the glass of the Buffalo STX, it's going to take 26 rifle rounds to cut through the glass. Now, if you are running special armor piercing rounds, which your Mark II weapons can use, you'll cut through the glass in one shot. But the majority of players really don't use this type of weaponry. The easiest way to deal with any type of Imani Tech vehicle that has bulletproof glass is pull out a minigun. As you can see, a minigun shot will instantly blow through any armored glass surface. The great thing is, not only does vehicles like the Buffalo STX feature bulletproof glass, but this car can also survive 12 homing missiles and about 6 sticky bombs. This means that you're basically never going to get blown up. Every single Imani Tech vehicle in today's video has a missile lock-on jammer. What that means is that if you were to pull out a homing launcher and somebody was driving the vehicle, you would never ever be able to home on the vehicle while it's being driven. While it's stationary, yes, you can home on them. But yeah, no oppressor Mark IIs are ever going to be a threat. Basically, any flying vehicles are never going to blow you up. So it's just ground targets at that point, and let's be real, the chance of a ground target hitting you 6 times with a sticky bomb is quite slim to none. That is why the first chunk of Imani Tech vehicles are usually the best for most situations. Whether you're planning on doing missions or you're just planning on driving and not really worrying about being shot, also not wanting to worry about being blown up, definitely the first group of cars here we have are the best. Let's talk about the vehicles. We have the Buffalo STX, which is the fastest of the bunch. It is able to achieve a top speed of 126 miles per hour. It also has some really good customization and is a 4-seater, so it's definitely one of the most versatile cars here. The next is the Dubachi Champion. Once again, this vehicle, just like all the others in this list as we can see, all feature bulletproof glass, including the Mammoth Patriot Stretcher. It's not the Stretch, just the Mammoth Patriot. So, as we can see, all of them feature semi-bulletproof glass, which is really nice. The Dubachi Champion is slightly slower than the STX at 124.5, but it does have nicer handling, and I personally like the look of this vehicle quite a bit better. It just looks really, really clean. So I'm a big fan of the Champion, but it is incredibly expensive, and because of that, I really just can't recommend to pick it up. We have the Inus Deity. This vehicle is pretty mediocre in terms of price tag. In fact, it's one of the cheapest Imani Tech vehicles. It's also pretty average in overall mobility, and it's just a pretty mediocre car when it comes to the stats, but because it's a 4-seater, because it also looks pretty nice, pretty sure it's based off of Bentley, I can't complain. I think it's actually a pretty solid car. The reason I can't say it's that good is because the Jubilee exists, which we'll break into in just a moment. With the Granger 3600, this is an incredibly cool vehicle. Looks like it's based off of a Tahoe. The problem with this car is, again, Rockstar raised the price tag, and because that kind of defeats the purpose of it. I'd just buy an STX over any of the vehicles we've listed so far, because it's by far the cheapest of the bunch when it comes to price tag, and just kind of the best in terms of performance. But I think the Jubilee is really the best of all the semi-bulletproof glass Imani Tech cars. The reason is because, first of all, it comes completely free with your agency, so you can just drive an Imani Tech variant without even having to spend money. But let's say you want to buy your own Jubilee. Well, it's pretty cheap. I think it's around 1.2 million, making this the cheapest Imani Tech vehicle. But not only that, this vehicle features the same bullet resistance, the same armor as all the other cars. It's fast, goes upwards of 115, and it's actually a pretty solid vehicle because it's a 4-seater. So it's kind of got everything checked, and it's by far the cheapest. So if you're just looking for protection and a vehicle that will get the job done, the Jubilee, sure, it's an SUV, and it's not the prettiest SUV in the game, but it will definitely be one of the best cars to get you from point A to point B, especially if you're newer and don't want to drop millions and millions of dollars. Finishing off, we have the Patriot Mil Spec. It's a cool vehicle. It's based off an H1 Hummer, and I'm a big fan that Rockstar added the H1 Hummer into the game, but in to be honest. I just don't think it's really that good of an Imani Tech vehicle. A lot of people are like, but it's off-roader. And I'm like, yeah, cool, it's got some off-road capabilities, but it has such bad ground clearance that it kind of sucks. I wish that you could make its off-road capabilities better, but the ground clearance is terrible, and because of that, it actually makes it quite unenjoyable. It also has by far the slowest top speed out of every Imani Tech vehicle, and once again, the glass, while semi-bulletproof, gets easily punched through by a single minigun round, and because this vehicle features by far the largest glass to shoot through, it's actually, in my opinion, one of the worst Imani Tech vehicles to purchase, and I can't recommend to buy. The Jubilee is better not only at off-roading, but just about everything, apart from looks when it comes to the Patriot mil-spec being compared. So that is the first list of Imani Tech vehicles. These are great, as I said, for people that don't want to worry about being shot in the face when driving down the streets of Los Santos, and also want basically invulnerability against missiles. The next group of cars we're going to talk about are, for the most part, better when it comes to RPG and sticky bomb survival, but they have the downside of not having any bulletproof glass. As we can see, these vehicles, every single one of them, you will be able to shoot directly through the glass, every single one. This is obviously a pretty big downside. If somebody's just pulling out a gun and trying to blast your head, they can easily do that with no effort whatsoever. But as I said, a lot of these vehicles, like for example the Buffalo EVX, is able to survive 10 sticky bombs instead of 6 like the vehicles over there. So it is quite nice, but to be honest, I don't really think you're ever going to be hit by 10 sticky bombs or RPGs to notice a difference. So really, the major difference between this type of vehicle and those types of vehicles is the difference of performance and overall customization. I would have to say the EVX alone is one of the coolest looking cars that Rockstar's added into the game, and I'm a huge fan of it. Now, these vehicles all feature the missile lock-on jammer once again. The NS300R, actually incredible looking. It's based off the Nissan Z, which I think is one of the best looking cars Rockstar has added into Grand Theft Auto Online. We have the Vapid Illusion. It's a pretty mediocre vehicle, I'll be completely honest. I wouldn't recommend to pick it up. We have the Obey Ominous EGT, and this here, by far, one of the best purchases you can make when it comes to Imani Tech. You'll notice that out of the vehicles that can survive usually more explosions, none of them are four-doors. I mean, we got a four-door Jeep, and apart from that, well, there's not much else. We got the Greenwood, but the Greenwood's pretty pointless. So the EGT is one of the only four-doors, and it can survive 12 sticky bombs. It's the only one that can survive 12, which is insane. It's also an electric vehicle, which makes it super fast on acceleration. It looks amazing, and it's one of the cheapest Imani Tech cars. So because of that, the Obey Ominous EGT is by far one of the best vehicles you can purchase when it comes to Imani Tech, and it's one that I would highly recommend to buy. Then we move on to the Penod La Course. Pretty cool vehicle. It actually features some incredible armor capabilities, but unfortunately it's very easy to just shoot the driver right through the window. We arrive at the Itali GTO Stinger TT. This is the fastest Imani Tech vehicle in the game. If you're playing on PC like me, this vehicle is able to achieve an incredible top speed of 132 miles per hour, and it gets even crazier. If you're playing on next generation console, it can go upwards of 150 plus miles per hour. So yeah, the vehicle is actually insane because of the fact it has HSW upgradability, and it's just super duper fast. So if you're looking for speed, this is definitely the Imani Tech vehicle for you. As we can see, it still features the armor and everything else, so it's a really, really good shout. The Terminus is kind of a weird one, and it's hard for me to tell exactly what it is currently, because the vehicle looks like it has armor upgrades. You can see if we pull out a sniper and look at the side, it's got like this armor style like plating on the side, but it doesn't look to be the same as the other Imani Tech vehicles. So we'll have to wait until the car is released into the game, whether it actually has Imani Tech armor upgrades or that's just a bit of customization. What I can say is that this vehicle does feature a missile lock-on jammer, so at least nobody's going to be able to fire homing missiles at you. And it's also one of the best off-roaders in the game, so I'm very excited to see if this actually does feature missile resistance. Final two cars we have, well, the Ocelot Virtue is my favorite out of the bunch here. It is not only one of the fastest supercars in terms of lap time, but it features insane acceleration. It is the fastest accelerating vehicle without rocket boost in the game. So super fun to mess around with. You can get it for free if you participate in the Los Santos Drug War DLC missions, so it was just a really good shout, and again, it looks so freaking nice. And we finish off with one of the worst Imani Tech vehicles, the Greenwood. It's not a bad vehicle, it's, in terms of armor and overall capabilities, a really good car. It's just compared to all the other Imani Tech vehicles, a waste of money. The Greenwood can go about 120 miles per hour, it has really mediocre handling, and its upgrades are also pretty mediocre, to be completely honest. But if you want the cheapest Imani Tech car right up there next to the Jubilee, and 4 seats, go for it. But, I mean, the Jubilee's literally just better, so I can't really recommend to buy that. We arrive at the final group of Imani Tech cars, and these are the ones that don't feature armor at all. These cars will be blown up with a single missile. A single explosive item will destroy all of these. But they do still feature missile lock-on jammers. That is really nice. Now, 2 of these cars, being the Baller ST and the Monstrosity, feature semi-bulletproof glass. So as you can see, we'll shoot at the glass, and it doesn't penetrate at all. And that's the same for this vehicle. All this glass is somewhat bulletproof. Now, that's really nice for the Baller, because this vehicle has massive, massive windows. And that means if somebody is trying to shoot at you, at least you'll be able to survive a decent chunk of ammo before you are killed. Pair that with the fact this vehicle is actually pretty fast, and that's not too bad at all. Unfortunately, the Imaggio, well, yeah, 1 bullet will go right into your head and kill you. But the Imaggio is one of the fastest supercars in the game, having the 4th best lap time even compared to HSW cars, which is insane. So I actually think the Imaggio is a great shout, and the fact that it has the missile lock-on jammer still makes it really viable. That means that nobody in the sky is going to be able to kill you. That's still really nice. These vehicles here also, as I said, can't survive any missiles, so while they may have some survivability at the end of the day, they're not going to be doing all too well. And as we can see, this vehicle here is also going to blow up any moment now because it got hit by an explosion. So all of these vehicles are solid, but definitely not any comparison to the rest of the Imani Tech vehicles in the class. There are 18 Imani Tech cars in total, and each of them are great. Really depends on what style you want. At the end of the day, they're all going to get you to point A to point B. If you think that there's one that is better than the other at the end of the day, it's just personal opinion. Like, sure, the TT is the fastest car, but it's a car. At the end of the day, do you really need to go 10 miles per hour faster when you could just pull out an oppressor and fly there much faster? I mean, sure, I guess you could say if somebody's trying to kill you, you want to get to point A to point B faster, but then you should be looking at a vehicle like the Virtue, which features much better handling and much better acceleration, which actually features a better lap time. So really, it just depends on what type of category you want. Personally, I just say go with the car that suits your needs most. If you want a car that looks great, go for vehicles like the Annis 300R, go for vehicles like the EVX. If you don't like electric vehicles, then go for raw power. And if you want some bullet survivability, then pick one of the cars over here. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.